My name's Finn. Growing up, I was always the quiet one. I did my own thing but had solidified myself in a friend group. None of us were popular and none of us were outcasts. I took this with me into college, and it was there where I truly realized the part of life I was missing. The friends I made there had an abundance of crazy stories and adventures that could silence a room. Mainly Lexi. She'd traveled the world, mostly by herself, which opened her up to meeting some really interesting people and getting herself into some really crazy scenarios. I wanted that. Was it out of my comfort zone? Absolutely. But that's where we thrive, right? So after college, I asked her for some advice on how to organize a solo trip. I wanted to backpack, live it rough, and stay with host families or in hostels, like she had done. She asked where I wanted to go, and we got talking about my possibilities. I chose to travel across Asia. It's somewhere I'd never been, and the ranging cultures from country to country and city to city intrigued me. I loved the way Lexi had spoken about each country. India, Uzbekistan, Thailand, Vietnam, and South Korea. So she'd put me in contact with people she'd met along the way. People to house me or offer me jobs, and I planned my route. Lexi set me up with places to stay in most instances. Despite the occasional hostel, the trip was amazing. It brought out a side of me that I knew I had but rarely showed. I was talking to strangers, trying to speak to locals in their respective languages, and embracing the culture of wherever I was. I lived day to day, from sleeping on packed buses to hitchhiking with strangers who soon became new friends. I stayed with an array of host families, all providing me with different experiences, and I am now on my way to stay with the final one before the end of my trip. I pulled out the itinerary that Lexi and I had come up with months prior. This last family I'm staying with was one of the few that required me to be on time. They live in an isolated village in the mountains of Japan and were expecting me on a certain day at a certain time. While Lexi hadn't actually stayed with this family, she had planned to. Her trip had been cut short due to personal circumstances, and she never got the chance to meet them. She had communicated with the family, though, through a mutual friend. As the family didn't have much access to the internet and apparently spoke very little English. All the information I had was the name of the village and to go to the main square where I would be greeted by the family. That's basically all I knew. That's what makes this so exciting. I also knew the name of the family. The Namir family. The journey here was exhausting. I had taken a ferry from South Korea into Honshu, Japan. From there, I had taken a series of buses before having to walk for about 30 minutes up a small dirt road through the trees. Thankfully, the bus driver knew where the village was, because when I got off in the middle of nowhere, I would have been useless with just my map and my very limited Japanese. He pointed me in the right direction, but the journey was worth it. The village is beautiful. It is large and situated on a grassy plain that rests alongside a small mountain that overlooks the traditional wooden houses. As I walk its streets, most people smile and nod. I'm guessing there aren't many outsiders that visit this place. I feel privileged to be one of them. The houses are made of wood and clay, providing a complementary rustic appearance against the bright green grass below. Some boasted large front doors, while others opted for the more traditional sliding doors. I walk the streets in awe of the hustle and bustle going on around me, contrasted by the natural, overwhelming beauty of the mountain above. I soon see an area that is clearly the main square of the village, a clearing in the middle of the wooden houses, with a beautiful statue standing tall in its center. I go to inspect the statue when a girl approaches me, I guess maybe in her mid-20s, and smiles. "Finn?" she asked, focusing on pronouncing my name correctly. "Yes. Hi," I respond. "Are you from the Normura family?" Yes, she excitedly replies. "Welcome, I am Ren." "Hi Ren," I introduce myself. "My name is Finn. Thank you so much for agreeing to have me." Her English seems very good. I felt comforted that I would be able to speak with somebody and would be shown around, as I was under the impression that there would be a language barrier here. "Please, it's fine, we are very excited," she says. "Would you like to come with me?" Of course, I agree. I'm excited to see where I'll be staying during this last week of my trip. On the way to her house, Ren tells me that her family doesn't speak English except for her mother, who she is teaching. Ren says that she learned English when she moved out of the village to Kyoto, where she was able to take classes. As we walk, the houses around me seem to grow larger and further apart. Ren says that her house is situated just outside the village, and essentially that we are in the area where the richer families live. All in all, her house is about 20 minutes from the village square, down a beautiful green path, overhung by shrubs and flowers. It is more isolated than the houses in the village center, which I am happy about, as I'd be able to get the most out of both the village life and the natural beauty that surrounds it. Ren's house is beautiful. Intricate designs danced on its light brown rooftops, looming above its large front door frame. The wooden walls of the outer house were pristine, as if newly made. The isolation of the house enhances its beauty, as there are no distractions to take you away from its bold presence. I've hit the jackpot here, really. Ren opened the front door and welcomed me inside. The house is split into two parts. The main area with the dining table and kitchen, and an area with the bedrooms and bathroom. The two sections of the house are connected by a small walkway that takes you outside, providing a stunning view of a flowery garden below. The main area hosts a dining table that lies close to the ground. Just off that is a kitchen area and an area with what looks like instruments in the far corner of the room. A small house shrine. Across the connecting walkway is the sleeping area. A long, wide corridor, hosting rooms on either side, each with a traditional sliding door made of what I think is rice paper. Ren shows me to my room, the third one down. Our room is simple, a mattress lying on the floor and a small table perched below an open window too high to see out of. Like the rest of the house, the walls and floor are made of wood. I set my bag down and unpack before going to meet her family. I meet the rest of the Normiras over dinner. Ren has a sister, Hina, who is quiet. She is younger than Ren, around 17, and I feel she was shy around me. Ren's mother, Saiko, is very sweet. She tried to use what English she had to make me feel welcome and offer me more food than I can handle. Ren's father, however, seems less welcoming. He was a serious man, speaking only to his wife throughout the meal after greeting me with a slight nod. Strangely, I am told to refer to him as Father Nomura. While I didn't expect this, I won't question it, as they're doing me a favor by letting me stay here. I assume it's a sign of respect. Dinner, however, is lovely. Sahako has clearly put a lot of effort into it. I am already starting to feel comfortable here when Ren pulls me aside as we all part from the dining table. Finn. She grabbed my arm, locking eyes with mine. The last room in the sleeping area, that's my grandparents' room. The room is at the end of the corridor. You aren't allowed to go in there, okay? Oh, I didn't even realize your grandparents are staying here too, I reply, having not seen them. Yes, they are, she says, and you must make sure you don't go near their room, okay? Okay, I find that weird. Obviously, I'm not going to be going into anyone else's room, but if she was going to warn me about that, why only warn me about the grandparents' room? I'm just back from a walk around the village. Brendan and I went. She gave me a quick tour, the best she could before it got dark, before we headed back to her house. I didn't see any of her family on the way through the main area or in the corridor housing my bedroom. I thanked Ren and said I'd see her tomorrow. Exhausted from my long journey, I lay down to go to sleep. I wake to the sound of a whisper. The whisper is a harsh, long one. I can't make out what is being said. I think it's in Japanese. It's a fast whisper. It sounds like a chant. Someone is repeating something. I sit up and peer through the darkness at my sliding door. It's coming from the corridor, almost as if someone's right outside my room. It starts to speed up even more, repeating the same incoherent phrase over and over. What the heck? What's it saying? Suddenly the whispering stops. I sit there in silence, waiting for something to happen. Footsteps. From the end of the corridor. The sound of the footsteps increases as they quickly approach my door before passing it, seemingly heading for the exit. As they pass my door, I make out a silhouette through its paper. It moved fast. Weird. I get out of bed and edge toward the door. I slowly slide it open, peering into the dark corridor before me. It's empty. I look down one end. Nothing. Then down the other, also nothing. I'm about to close the door and head back to sleep when I see wet footprints. They appear to have come from the room at the end of the corridor and lead all the way to the connecting walkway outside. I can clearly see that whoever made them was barefoot. Some of the footprints of them are so clear that I could count each toe. I begrudgingly follow them. Just as I'm about to open the door onto the connecting walkway outside, I hear the door of one of the bedrooms behind me slide open. It's Ren. Ren, I stutter. Someone just ran by my room. She hushes me. It is grandmother, she whispers. She has problems at night. She runs into the village often at night. Father will get her. I figure she means night terrors or sleepwalking or something like that. Spooked, I apologize to Ren and head back to my bed. The The cold air wakes me up the next morning. The light streams through the open window above as I sit up in bed. Had no idea what time it was. Could have slept for ages after all that traveling. I should probably get up and see what's happening. I roll out of bed and sit on the floor while I go through my suitcase. I get changed and turn towards the bedroom door. I'm freaked out about last night, but it's my first night here, so I'm definitely not going to bring it up. I walk out into the corridor, and as I take one last look at the room before sliding the door shut, I notice footprints. They're the same barefoot wet footprints that I had seen in the corridor last night. My heart flutters and I scan their route. These were different footprints. Like last night, these came out of the room at the end of the corridor, but instead of leading to the exit, they lead into my room, toward my bed. I see two wet footprints planted on the floor at the foot of my bed. Ren's grandmother had been watching me sleep. I decided not to talk to Ren about the footprints in my room last night. If they have a grandmother with these types of issues, it must be very hard to control, and they must be aware that this kind of thing happens. Although I am on edge, I'm not really the kind of person to completely wave something off like this. Call it overthinking, but I always feel like something more sinister is going on, even when it isn't. So while I'm not going to forget that it happened, I'm also not going to bring it up to Ren, especially not after my first night here. It might not even happen again. Ren is taking me around the village this morning. It's just as beautiful in the early light as when I had arrived, the mountaintop glistening in the still rising sun. However, I do notice something is different. The people. When I arrived in the village yesterday, they were smiling, waving and greeting me. Now they look in shock at my presence. A man who I clearly recognize as one who waved at me the day before just looks at me, then at Ren, then back at me, almost as if in fear, before turning back to his family. Ren isn't speaking to anyone and they aren't speaking to her. Surely, in a village this size, everybody is friendly with everyone. Or at least Ren would recognize some of the people around us. But apparently not. We've been walking for around an hour, mostly talking about my life, when a man bursts from his house and grabs me. His hand grips my shoulders, and he stares into my eyes with an alarmed look on his face. He's speaking very fast. His tone is one of urgency, frantically speaking at me, volume slowly rising even. Ren quickly pushes him away. I was too in shock to even react. She speaks a quick sentence back to him before grabbing my arm and leading me away. He stays by his house, still shouting at me from afar. "What the?" I exclaim. "What was that? What is he saying?" "He's trying to sell you something," Ren replies, eyes forward as she continues to lead me away from the scene. "Sell me something?" I ask in shock. Why would he... What? Was that even a shop? "It is nothing." She seems different, sterner. "He's trying to rip you off because you are not from here." What? That's an aggressive way of trying to achieve a sale. Almost unbelievably so. The first interaction I've had with someone else today was that. I look back toward the man just before he disappears from my view. He's on his knees pointing at me, still yelling. We are just back from the village, and I'm going back to my room to show Ren a book I had told her about. I enter the corridor of bedrooms. At the far end, I see Father Nomura with the elderly man, Ren's grandfather. The old man is frail, with strands of gray hair on his head and tired eyes. Father Nomura appears to be helping him into his room, one hand on his shoulder, the other hand locked with his. Father Nomura looks up at me, and so does the grandfather. Father Nomura shouts something at me in Japanese, waving his head to the exit behind me, as if telling me to leave. He seems angry. I freeze in my tracks. Do I continue to my room? Is he actually telling me to go back the way I came? My eyes dart to the grandfather. He is staring at me eyes wide now. His mouth is moving, he's muttering something. I can't quite hear what he's saying over the shouts, not that I'd understand anyway. I turn to leave as the father's tone gets more agitated. As I turn, the grandfather speaks up, although still in a raspy whisper. He's repeating something. Repeating the same phrase I had heard outside my room last night over and over. I shut the door behind me and stand on the walkway, staring blankly at the flowers below. I have just finished dinner. Other than Red and Saako and the weird exchange with Father Nomura, I have seen none of the family today. Dinner was quaint but delicious. Saiko continued to force food onto my plate throughout the entire meal. Ren and I are outside sitting in the garden, teaching Saako some English phrases. It's been quite a strange day. I've been shouted at by a random guy and by Father Nomura, but it's been a really nice day too. can't sleep. Last night is replaying in my head, freaking me out. I'm nervous that as soon as I fall asleep, someone's going to come into my room or something. I've been lying here for a few hours and I haven't heard a peep outside, but I'm still on edge. My brain won't shut up. In fact, my thoughts are so loud and overwhelming that I almost didn't notice my door begin to slide open. It opens very slowly. Someone in the corridor is sliding it quietly and carefully, as if trying to not make a sound. I am frozen. I stare at the doorway as more of the dark corridor is exposed. It's almost as if the darkness pours into my room, bringing it with fear and uncertainty. The door is fully open soon, but I see nobody, just darkness, and I hear nothing, see nothing. My door just opens. That's it. I'm not moving. I lay in bed on edge, ready to spring up at any moment should I need to. But nothing has happened. It's been open now for a few minutes, and nothing. I build up the courage to go and shut it. I stand up, slowly and quietly, and edge towards the door. Curiosity takes the better of me as I reach it, and I quickly peer down both ends of the corridor. To the left towards the exit, nothing. Total darkness. To the right, a light at the end of the corridor. A faint light is coming from the open door of the grandparents' room. Although the room is side on, so I can't see inside, the light is clearly candlelit, as it flickers in such a way. Screw that. I start to slide my door shut and notice the footprints once more. Wet, barefoot footprints. They lead from the grandparents' room to mine, then go back to where they came. Had the grandmother come to my room, opened my door, and then gone back to sleep? I was so in shock, engulfed by both the fear and overwhelming darkness, that I almost missed it. The wall opposite the grandparents' room has a faint shimmer of light reflected onto it through the open door, as well as light. A shadow is reflected onto the wall. The shadow of a figure, a person, standing just inside their room. It's just standing there, completely still. I feel like it is facing the corridor, but I can't tell for sure. All I know is that someone is standing right by the entrance to their room. Barely inside it, but far enough that I can't actually see them. Are they waiting for me to investigate? Do they know I can see them? They're just so still. I quietly slide my door fully shut and get back into bed. It's around 3 a.m. now and I haven't slept. I don't think I will. Well, sleep must have taken me last night, although I don't know when. I sit up in bed fast, in a panic, looking around my sunlit room. No footprints. My door is shut. The bag seems untouched. Wow, I am so thankful for that. Although, I'm scared. I'm scared about last night. I'm scared about tonight. Heck, I'm scared about even getting up out of bed right now. Tonight, though, I'm going to set my phone up, maybe in the corridor, and film what is going on. I'm going to hide it in the corner. Perhaps in one of the protruding rafters. I'll make sure it's difficult to see. Nobody will see it. I want to find out what happens here at night. So here's my plan. Firstly, I'm going to tell Ren I'm exploring the village alone. Except, I'm not going to explore the village. I'm going to hike down to where the bus dropped me off and hope that the bus at the stop, there is some sort of schedule. I had tried to find bus schedules on my phone but couldn't see any information. I'm freaked out right now and I'll feel more at ease knowing that there are ways I can get out of here should I need to. The Nomiuras have been nothing but kind to me. Well, Saako and Ren have been, but I still feel I need to have an exit route, just in case. I'm not going to tell Ren where I'm going, I don't want to offend her, but a part of me also doesn't trust her. I don't want her to get too suspicious. Secondly, the camera. I've downloaded an app on my phone that's for overnight recording. I think it's advertised toward parent watching over their children's rooms or something. I'll set it up and see what happens here at night. If I see anything that I don't like, I'm out of here. I'm almost at the bus stop. Earlier, I had eaten breakfast with Ren and Saako before telling them I wanted to explore the village on my own. Ren insisted she join me, but I assured her I'd be alright and that I wanted a day to myself. My walk through the village was similar to yesterday's. Nobody smiled at me or even acknowledged me. The only difference was that nobody tried to sell me anything today. I reached the bottom of the hill. It's been about 45 minutes since I left the Nomura's house. I've been walking fast. I see the rusty old sign that the bus stopped at when it had dropped me off and paced toward it. Squinting my eyes to read through the rust, I see only 2 time slots. Both the times are on the same day I was dropped off, separated by an hour. The next bus out of here is the bus I was planning on taking anyway. This was for nothing. There are no buses out of this place for days. I pray I won't need one. Fully fed, I sit on my bed after dinner. Other than finding out there are no buses out of here, it's been an uneventful day, but I'm dreading the night again. I open up the recording app, turn my phone on silent, and turn its brightness down. I don't want it to be seen. Everyone has gone to bed, but I still hear people occasionally walking around. I'll wait for everyone to be asleep before setting the camera up. It's been silent for an hour, so it's time. I quietly get out of bed and tiptoe over to my door. I slowly open it, looking down the corridor. Empty. I know where I'm setting this up. The far end of the corridor has a rafter I can prop my phone up on. It's the only place that'd work. The rafter by the front door would be too easy to spot anyone leaving. I creep down the corridor, passing a series of rooms, including the grandparents'. Softly as I can, I jump and grab the rafter, pulling myself up, and propping my phone so it films down the corridor. Awesome. I slowly lower myself back to the ground. I'm quite proud of myself for being so silent when the grandparents' door starts to slide open. I freeze. I'm just beyond the door, at the end of the corridor. I don't move, hoping I'm not seen. Father Nomura and Sayako walk out of the room, shutting the door behind them, deep in discussion. They don't see me. They hurriedly walk up the corridor before exiting onto the walkway at the other end. That was close. Had I been walking past the grandparents' room when they exited, the walkway door slowly opens once more. They're coming back. Shit. I have no other choice. The only place I can get in fast enough without them seeing me is the grandparents' room. I quickly open the door, slide myself in and shut it behind me, just as they re-enter the corridor. Stairs. That's what I see. A staircase going down. This isn't just a bedroom. On the edge of each step, a dimly lit candle. I can't see beyond the bottom of the staircase. Father Nomura and Seiko voices are now getting louder. I think they're coming back towards the grandparents' room. I hear their footsteps, louder and louder. Their hushed voices were now right outside the door I had just come through. I move down the stairs, finding myself in a room with 2 sliding doors. Nothing else. Just a small square wooden room with 2 traditional sliding doors on either side. Nowhere to hide. I have to choose a door. As I stare at each door, I see movement. A shadow. Through the door on the right, a choice is made for me. I go through the door on the left, shutting it behind me. I get swallowed by darkness. Shaking, I am pressed up against the door I just went through. I hear Father Nomura and Seiko making their way down the stairs. The room I chose is completely dark. I try to quickly scan it for somewhere to hide in case one of them comes in, but I can't see anything around me. I don't want to venture further into the room unless I absolutely have to. I can't see and might knock something over. I hold my breath. Footsteps. Father Nomura and Sayako have just reached the bottom of the staircase. To my relief, their quiet steps and hushed conversation lead into the other room, and I hear the door slide shut behind them. I am still frozen and want to wait a second before making my move, but I can still hear something behind me, no longer disrupted by the sound of Father Nomura and Sayako. I can now hear something in the room with me. I hear slow, quiet breathing. Exasperated, rasping breath sounded from behind me in the darkness. Every breath sounds as if it's causing incredible pain. The breathing is quiet, but the anguish that comes with each breath is clear. I'm not finding out who or what is in this room with me. With no second thought, I open the door, shutting it behind me, and bolt up the stairs to my room, careful with every step. I try to stay awake after what happened. I tried to be on alert, but I was exhausted. I had fallen asleep shortly after sneaking out of the grandparents' room. I'm beyond freaked out at this point. I'm trying to tell myself that there's an explanation for last night, that I had simply heard one of the grandparents breathing, but I couldn't convince myself that what I heard was normal. Something about it terrified me and made me feel cold. Every breath was laced with pain, like with suffering. I could almost feel it myself. And if I had been in the room with the grandparents, what did I see through the screen on the other room? There's something happening in this house. I go to collect my phone. Even in the morning light, it was almost impossible to see it. I had hidden it well, and I quickly grabbed it and brought it to my room to see if anything had happened during the night. Skimming through the recording, the bright green filter of night vision provides a creepy view of the corridor. The shadows in the corridor are dancing as the moon makes its cycle through the night. Father Nomura and Sayako left the grandparents' room late, going back to their room. Nothing out of the ordinary. I reach 3:54 a.m. and I see movement. Simultaneously, all the doors slide open. All but mine and the grandparents. And seeing, each of the family members steps out. Hina stepped out of the room next to mine, and Ren stepped out of the room opposite. Both parents also step out of their room at the same time. All in unison. Furthest from the camera, Hina walks down the corridor first, towards its end. As she passes Ren, she walks by her side. The parents then follow suit, walking behind the sisters. None of them appear to speak or acknowledge each other. They gather around the grandparents' room. Father Nomura opens it, and they enter before the door slid shut. Fast forward to about 4:40 a.m. Movement. The door of the grandparents' room is opened. The family walk out in the same order they had entered. Sisters side by side, parents side by side behind them. Father Nomura shuts the door behind them. They walk toward my room. They surround my door. Their mouths are moving as if they are chanting something. They're standing at my door, staring at it for exactly 23 minutes. Father Nomura then moves. He opens my door slowly, very carefully. The family enters my room in the same order they had maintained throughout, completely in sync. The door shut behind them. Now my heart is racing. What the heck do they do in here? I look around my room and nothing seems out of the ordinary. I even feel around my body. Nothing feels different. Fast forward. Exactly 23 minutes later, my bedroom door is slit open and the family exits. Parting ways, they go to their respective rooms, shutting their doors in unison. I'm leaving. I don't know where I'll go. Maybe I'll seek refuge in the village or even brave the wilderness. I don't know, I just have to get out. I quickly pack my things and open my door to see Ren on the other side. "Finn," she says, a nervous look on her face as she looks at my fully packed bag. "Where are you going?" I stutter. Laundry. I don't know why I said that, but it works. "Finn," she calmly responds. "Father wants to speak with you in the main area." Why?" My heart is beating out of my chest. I might just run. "He wants to talk about something," she replies. "He knows you went into my grandparents' room last night." Father Nomura stands with his back to me. I'm in the main area of the house, backpack on, ready to run. The entire Nomura family surrounds me, suffocating me. The only one doing anything is Saoko, who's fiddling with something in the kitchen. The sisters, however, watch me. Father Nomura turns to face me, then speaks. He sounded calm. Once he is finished, Ren translates. "He is unhappy you went into grandfather's room," she calmly states. "Grandfather is very sick and should not have been disturbed." "Tell him I'm very sorry," I stammer. I didn't mean to go in, I got scared because of your grandmother's footprints. She came into my room and..." Father Nomura starts to speak again. Ren hasn't translated what I said. Does he understand me? "He tells me that you have to behave now," Ren explains. "He says he will not punish you this time, but you must behave. As for grandmother, I'm sorry you are scared. She is old and sick." "I couldn't be sorrier," I pled. "Tell Father Nomura it won't happen again." He nods and leaves the room onto the walkway. The door shuts loudly behind him. Hina does the same, moving as soon as Father Nomura had left our sight. I turn to Ren. "You must eat," she smiles. "It's okay. Mother made you food to make you happy." My attention turns to Saoko. Sure enough, she had made a lot of food. She places the final plate on the table and invites me to sit. I had offended the family once. I won't do it again. I don't want to be punished. But after this, I'm leaving. I don't trust this family. I wiped my plate down and the first chance I get, move towards the exit. Nobody saw me leave. I am quickly pacing along the path heading into the village. I don't know my next move. Maybe try and find the man who was selling me something and try to determine what he was actually saying. I reach the village. I know roughly where the man's house is. Suddenly, my legs feel weak. I stumble but keep my balance. What is going on? My steps get wider, my legs harder to control with every step. I fall down to one knee but can't even feel the ground beneath it. "Help," I stutter. "Help me." I look to the villagers around me. They are all staring at me in shock, but they are not helping. In fact, most are moving away. Hushed conversations and distant whispers surround me as I fall to the ground and black out. "You are sick. Please eat." My eyes open. I am back in my bedroom, back in the house. Saoko kneels beside my bed, holding a small plate of food, still piping hot, steam rising. What happened?" I ask. I'm dazed and confused. "You have fallen," Saoko says. "Please eat and rest." My mind is in a haze. I can't think straight at all. I eat some of the food as Sako places it against my lips. I'm not sure why I do it, but it tastes good, and I'm hungry. As my eyes shut, my cloudy vision becoming blurrier by the second, I notice something. Over Sako's shoulder, my door is slightly open. Peering through the gap, a tall elderly woman looms above, smiling as she watches me eat. I wake to the sound of my stomach churning. Hunger owns me. I need to eat. It's dark, but I get out of bed and slide my door open before heading to the kitchen. The cold night air on my skin doesn't faze me. I only want food. To my surprise, there is a meal on the kitchen table. I stride over to it, then devour it. It's delicious, but I'm still hungry as I head back to my bedroom. I sit upright on my bed and eat away at the bits of skin dangling from my fingertips. I wake once more. It's still night. Only now I'm myself again. I think back to earlier. Had I really gone into the kitchen and eaten all that food? Why was it even there in the middle of the night? Was that a dream? I look down at my fingers. Blood and loose skin cloak them. My fingernails almost completely gone. Fingers are bitten so much that blood now stains my mattress. What is happening to me? I have to get out of here. I get out of bed. I can't see my bag or phone, but I don't care. I slide open my door. The hallway is empty, so I make my move. I quickly make it to the door connecting the two areas of the house and go through it with ease. Soon, I find myself in the main area. I hurriedly move towards the front door, almost breaking into a run. Once outside, I do run. I'm almost at the village. I can't see the path in the darkness. My bare feet are cut with every stride, colliding with the thorns and branches below. I should have reached the village by now, right? The house behind me is no longer in sight. Where's the village? Light. I see light ahead. I'm almost there. It must feel further in the dark. I'm relieved I've made it. It's the house. I'm looking at the house, but how? It's a straight path. I haven't made any turns off of it either. I run and turn the other way. The cold air hurts my lungs. I continue to run though. Again, I reach the house once more. What is happening here? What's happening to me? I stray from the path and run into the surrounding trees. I need to get away from here. I must be turning around in the dark, accidentally taking the same path back to the house. I see it again, through the trees ahead of me. This doesn't make sense. How am I back here? Can't seem to escape this place, so I grab a sturdy branch to use as a weapon and carefully move towards it. The main area is empty. I scan for my bag but see nothing. I walk across the wooden floor and open the door onto the walkway. Also empty. Crossing the walkway, I am struck by the cold night air. I open the door to the corridor ahead. Darkness on either side of me. All the doors are split shut. The house appears undisturbed from when I left it, as if everyone is still asleep. Strangely, as I tread down the corridor, careful not to make a sound, the air seems to be getting colder. With every step, I feel a chill crawl across my skin. As I reach my room, I slit open the door and peer in. I see only my blood-stained mattress and the small table. I'm still missing my bags, my shoes, and my phone. Without more clothing, I'd freeze outside. I'd peer down at my feet, battered from my escape and attempt earlier, and know that if I want any chance of escaping here, I'll need my things. Most importantly, I need my phone to call for help. They're somewhere here, but I can't wake anybody up. One by one, I slide the doors of their rooms open. Kino eyes sleep in a room decorated with a weird symbol I don't recognize. A circular symbol with a horn-like figure in its center. A small shrine stands in the corner of her room. It's the same one from the main area. The moonlight that shines through her window makes it easy to quickly recognize that my bag isn't here. Ren lies asleep in a simpler room. She turns as I peer in but doesn't wake. Her table holds books. A lot of them. I make out a small shrine in the corner of her room but no bag. Her parents' room. My hand is trembling as I slide open their door and peer in. Similar to Hina's room, it's decorated with that symbol. Multiple shrines are laid out against the back wall, each with a candle in its center. The parents are asleep on a mattress that lies in the middle of the room. Father Nomura grunts in his sleep and turns towards his sleeping wife but doesn't awaken either. This room is much larger than the two daughters. There is no bag here and I slowly slide the door shut. There is only one room left. I open the door and walk down the staircase. The candles remain lit along it. The room is the coldest of all of them. As I reach the two doors, I opt again to go through the left one. I'm going to grab a coffee and quickly scan the grandfather's room. He was unable to make a sound last time, so even if I wake him, I feel I won't get caught. I move towards the door and slide it open with a creak. The smell hits me as soon as the door opens. It is putrid, a combination of rotting fruit and shit. I turn away and hold back a gag. Taking a deep breath, I turn back to the room. It's completely dark. I get low with my candle, illuminating only my surroundings a few feet ahead. I slowly crawl into the room. The smell is rancid, only getting worse the further I delve. I'm holding the candle ahead when I see a strap to my left. My bag. I carefully reach across to grab it and soon realize my phone rests comfortably on its top. I just need my shoes and then I can get out of here. And then I hear this dripping sound. What is that sound? I need to hurry. I can't hear any breathing, I only hear a drip. Maybe I just quickly turn on my phone light and find my shoes. I don't think the grandfather is in here. More dripping. I'm going to do it. I'm going to quickly turn it on, then back off again, just so I can establish where I am and where my shoes are. If my bag and phone are here, my shoes should be too. I just need to hurry, and it's too quiet for someone to be sleeping in here. My heart beats in harmony with the drip. Screw it. I flick my phone's light on. I look up, and I wish I had it. The chains hang from the ceiling. At the end of each chain is a large hook. Above me, the hooks hold up a body. A man. They puncture his calves and the upper fatty bits of his arms. There is one larger hook that wraps around his spine, pulling it partially out of his bag. He is naked. His head droops lifelessly. Carved into his chest was the symbol I had seen in Hina in the parents' room. I see no blood. It's almost as if it's been cleared up or drained. My eyes turn to the dripping sound. From his nose and mouth, saliva or something slowly drips. But his face. As I look up at him, hanging lifeless above me, I recognize this man. It's the man who pulled me aside and shouted at me in the village. I hold everything back. Tears, gags, and screams. I need to get out of here. I need to not make a sound. My eyes lock with the dead man's as I leave. They are wide but lifeless. I notice parts of his flesh are missing, as if they had been ripped out randomly. His fingers look as if they were chewed to the bone. I feel a strong sense of guilt as I slide the door shut and lose sight of him. He had died because he warned me. That was his breathing in the room with me nights ago. He was dying and I didn't help him. But it's too late now. I sneak up the stairs. The corridor looks undisturbed since my last venture, and I quietly shut the grandparents' door behind me. I'm going to go into my room, quickly get my gear on, and try to contact help. I enter my room and turn to my phone. Frantically, I type out the following message. It's Finn. I need you to come help me. I'm not safe. I send it to all of my contacts, followed by the name of the village I'm in. Someone has to help me. The messages are sending slowly. I'll check again when I'm outside. I'll also try to call someone when I'm in a place that I'm safe and able to speak. My shoes are on. I have proper clothes on. I'm getting out of here. I sneak through the corridor into the main area and reach the front door with no hassle. I'm quiet, as quiet as I can be, and feel I've managed to get through the house. Once more without waking anybody. Now I just have to find the village. The silence is broken as the sound of footsteps rings through the house. Wet, fast footsteps emit from the sleeping area, and I hear the door leading onto the walkway open. The steps slap against the wooden floor, approaching the main area, approaching me. Grandmother. I propel myself through the front door and into the darkness ahead. I run into the nearby tree line, hide behind a large trunk, and turn back to look at the house. Standing just outside, the door is a figure. A tall, spindly, frail shape towers over the frame of the door. It had just come through. I can only make out its shadow in the night, shaped like a human but proportionately wrong. This thing must be at least 7 feet tall. Despite its hunched back, long skinny legs hold it up and its thin arms stretch down its side, its hands just beyond its knees. I make out very large hands. Long bony fingers take shape in the dark as my eyes adjust. I stare in horror. It appears to wear a gown of sorts, although I can't make it out clearly. The sole feature I can make out from its head is a few strands of hair protruding from its scalp. It stands for a second, then breaks into long strides down the path toward the village, hunching its back further as it runs. Is that the grandmother? I'm about to turn my attention back to reaching safety when I see a second figure exit the house. I can clearly make out the figure, Father Nomura, as he stands by the front door. He doesn't move, just watches the creature run into the night. His stance is one of impatience and annoyance. I fear whatever that thing is, the grandmother is looking for me. I run through the trees, frantically trying to call someone. The police, my family, Lexi, anyone. The messages I had typed out earlier had all sent, but now I lack signal. Find a large tree, climbable. I reach its top easily enough. I ignore the branches that pierce my skin and draw blood. Just have to get out of here. Still no signal, but I see something else that gives me hope. I see the village. I can make out the dimly lit houses and see a section of the main square. I know which direction to move in. Just as I start to climb down, the grandmother runs below my tree. I freeze. I watch as her unnervingly long body passes my tree below. She doesn't see me, but I see her. She is old, very old. Her skin was wrinkled and veiny, almost discolored. Her gray strands of hair sporadically dangle from her scalp. Her eyes are wide, although I can't make out their color. Her mouth is wide open as she runs, as if she were screaming with no sound. I see no teeth, just reddish black gums. She wears a white gown, which appears to have been ripped short just above her knees. Each fast step is a lunge, her arms reaching out in front of her, grabbing the trees as she passes them to move swiftly through the wooded area. Her head darts around. She's looking for someone. For me. She soon passes, and I lower myself down. I move from tree to tree, but don't see her again before soon reaching the village. I run to the first house I see and knock on the door. I don't want to be loud. Grandmother is still nearby. A confused, cautious Japanese man opens the door. He looks at me up and down, questioning my state, visually wary. Help me. I need help, I pant. He speaks back, unsure of what he says, and then he starts to shut the door. No, I put my hand firmly on the door. Please help. After some back and forth, he lets me in. He leads me to a room toward the back of his house. He points to a chair for me to sit. His family stands cautiously by, a woman and a child. They do not speak to me. The man gestures for me to wait, and he leaves the room, shutting me in it. I try my phone again. Still no signal. His wife soon enters the room and gives me a glass of water. I drink it fast, and she gets me another. The man comes back into my room and, through a series of gestures, assures me that help is on the way. There was a lady, a monster, I try to warn him. But as I speak, his calm demeanor assures me that he has managed to get help and that I'm safe here. I'm thankful, and he leaves me in the room once more. Just as my heartbeat begins to slow, I hear the familiar voice of Father Nomura at their door. I stand up, panicked. Father Nomura, the man, and 5 or 6 other villagers enter the room. No, I shout, pointing at Father Nomura. This is him. Help. I can't. Father Nomura says something, and they walk toward me. No. What are you? Stop. Get your hands off me. Help. I'm screaming now. I continue to scream and resist as they hoist me onto their shoulders and, against my thrashing, carry me back along the path towards the Nomura household. They carry me into the house, where Ren, Hina, and Sayako wait. On the table, a feast of delicious-looking food. My struggles against them are useless as they sit me by the table and begin to force the food into my mouth. Sayako looks on, almost in sorrow. Father told you to not misbehave. Ren calmly speaks from somewhere behind me. Now eat the food Mother kindly prepared for you. I wake up in the night. I am hungry, I'll admit. Ren's grandmother stands in the corner of my room. Her hunched body blocks the moonlight from the window, and she looks at me with a toothless grin. Her irises are black and her eyes are wide. I stare at her and I feel safe. I am hungry. I bite into the tips of my fingers, drawing blood. Very desperate for food, for substance. As I begin to eat, the woman in the room with me whispers a chant. The little chunks of flesh I tear from my fingers taste good. I continue to bite until I feel bone, then bite down some more. I shoot awake. I'm still in my room. I scramble off my bed away from where the grandmother stood, but she is not there anymore. In her place was the same small shrine I had seen around the house. My fingers throb with pain. I look down and see the damage I had caused. Most of my fingers look as they'd met a shredder. There is flesh missing, bitten into, dangling down my hands. My bones are visible. Many have slight cracks on their surface from where I bit down on them. What is happening to me? I stumble up, desperate to escape this place. I open the door, and there are candles placed along the corridor. As I stagger to the door leading onto the walkway, I see that most of the rooms around me are open. Nobody in sight, though. I try the main door, and it won't open. It has been blocked from the outside. I push hard, through the pain of my hands, but to no avail. I turn back to the corridor and walk down it, peering into each room. I see nobody, but each room has changed. There are no beds in Ren, Hina, or the parents' room. just lit candles, that same shrine in the room center. I try to climb out the window in my room, but it is too small to fit through. There's no use. I go back into the corridor, and that's when I notice a large X had been drawn on the outside of my door. Whatever was used to draw, it still looked wet, but it is a clear X. There are red droplets from my door down the corridor's floor. I follow the droplets, which lead to the last room, the room at the end of the corridor. It gets colder as I approach it. The candles are my only light. The door is shut, but there is something drawn on it. It is something in the same red substance. On the red door, a large red O. The grandparents' room has been drawn on for a reason, and I'm not entering it, not unless I'm armed. I quickly scour the empty rooms along the corridor, but find only the small shrines and candles. As I'm about to leave Hina's room, I see a lifeline. Through her small window stands a low-hanging tree. I hoist myself up and, with some struggle, manage to pull off a sturdy branch. This one is even more solid than my last. Despite the pain in my fingers, I hold a tight grip. I leave her room and sit down against the walkway's door. I stare down the long candlelit corridor, waiting for something to happen. It's been over an hour. No sounds. I've tried the walkway door a few times, and I try it again once more, as I decide to move towards the grandparents' room, but no luck. I walk down the corridor and reach their room, holding the branch high, ready to swing. I quietly slide the door open. Candles are lined down the stairs, and I can tell from the dim glow that there are many more on the floor below. I tread down the stairs carefully, alert. At the bottom of the staircase, candles are lined up along the walls, highlighting the two doors I have faced before. The door on the left has a large red X drawn on it, while the door on the right has a red O. What kind of sick game is this? I move toward the door on the left, the room I'm more familiar with. I press my ear against its frame and listen. Upon hearing nothing, I slide it open. Inside, the same symbol I see in Hina in the parents' room, the horn-like figure in the center of a circle. The symbol is everywhere, drawn in red all over the walls, the floors, and the ceiling. At the end of the room, a small table holds a book. I cautiously approach it, opening the book, which reads from right to left. The book has drawings, 2 per page. Page 1. The village. It is the village square. Although much more old-fashioned, people are smiling, children are playing. The characters are all drawn wearing traditional Japanese clothing. The next drawing is of an old woman who appears to be in the woods, watching the village square from afar. She looks normal and wears a white kimono. I flicked onto the next page. Page 2. The woman is now in the village square, conversing with the children. In the next image, they're following her into the woods. I turn the page. Page 3. Villagers are on their knees, pleading to the old woman. No children are in sight. The woman is smiling, her lips now red. The next drawing is identical, except the villagers bow to her instead. They are worshipping her. Page 4. The next page, people feasting at a long table. They look young, although they aren't children. The old lady is watching from afar, smiling. The next drawing is of the same people, but they appear to be much fatter after the apparent feast. Page 5. This page has one larger picture. The drawing is of the old woman biting into one of the people from the feast. Behind her, the children she had taken. Scratched into their chests, the symbol. They look sad and frightened. I jolt away from the book as I hear a child laugh behind me. A quick, innocent giggle breaks the silence, almost as if the sound were the cause. The candles around me all distinguish at once. I plunge into darkness, shaking. I stare across the room and out toward the staircase. I hold my branch high, ready once more to swing. I slowly walk towards the room's exit and see a child quickly run into my view before disappearing up the staircase ahead. I edge out of the room, my eyes slowly adjusting to the sudden dark. I am at the bottom of the staircase now and turn my head to see where the child has gone. Standing tall in the darkness at the top of the staircase, the grandmother. The creature that had chased me into the woods was now looking right at me. Behind her cowers a child wearing a white kimono, his chest exposed. Scratched into his chest, the symbol. He looks frightened, hiding behind the tall legs of the grandmother as he looks at me. The grandmother appears to be eating something. She is holding something up to her mouth, although I can't see it behind her large hands. She chews excitedly. The wet sounds of her food, meeting her lips, ring through the otherwise silent house. She stares at me as she eats. The sound of her quick chewing soon stops, and she drops her meal. It tumbles down the stairs, violently bouncing off each one on the way down. As it lands by my feet, it lets out a weak cry. It's a baby, carved into its tiny chest, the symbol. I look back up at the grandmother in terror. Her hands no longer cover her blood-soaked mouth, and instead, stroke the hair of the young boy by her side. I take a step back. To my side, more people, young men and women and children, all looking at me. They look sad and frightened, and each has the symbol engraved into their chests. I back away from them as they begin to close in on me. I feel a door behind me and slide it open. It's the door with the red O. I shut it behind me and turn to see the Nomura family. They wear traditional white kimonos and are spaced around the walls of the wooden room. The candles in here are lit, 2 by each family member's feet. Their grandfather stands at the far end of the room staring at me, wide-eyed. His lips are red, the remnants of blood. I'm unable to speak as I scan the family members, each looking at me, lips red. Sako holds a plate with small cuts of meat on it. The meat looks to be drizzled with blood. They begin to quietly chant, the same chants I have heard throughout my visit. Sako steps toward me. With a rush of adrenaline, I hit her as hard as I can with the branch. It splinters upon impact with the side of her head. She falls fast, and the plate of meat clatters against the floor. As I open the door to run, I notice the rest of the family quickly moving to pick the meat up from the floor, ignoring Sako. I turn to run, but grandmother stands tall in front of me. She puts her cold hand on my head. Her large fingers wrap around my skull. She whispers something, and I fall unconscious. I wake, drowsy. I lay naked on the wooden floor, resting in the center of a room. It is the same room I had hit Sako with the branch in. Father Nomura, Ren, Hina, and the grandfather stand around me. They whisper the chant. I am weak, almost completely unable to move. The father kneels by his side and draws a short, sharp knife. With a swift, expert-like movement, he grabs some of the excess fat and cuts it from my stomach. I briefly thrash, but he's already done it. I lie on the ground disoriented, weak, and in agonizing pain. I am unable to properly move my body. My movement after the cut was brief. The father stands clutching the cut of the flesh, and Hina hands him a large Japanese chalice. He holds the meat above the chalice and squeezes it. My blood drips from the flesh and into the cup, some oozing down the father's arm. The chanting continues throughout. He takes a sip from the chalice before passing it to Ren, who does the same. She then passes it to the grandfather, who calmly drinks before moving to kneel by her side. He lifts my head and presses the chalice against my lips, pouring my own blood into my mouth. Too weak to resist his grasp, my desperate calls are not enough to stop some of the blood pouring down my throat. He then stands and passes it to Hina, who drinks. They continue the chant. The father wraps the flesh he had cut from me with a cloth and hands it to Hina. Hina leaves the room with the chalice of blood and the cut of my flesh. The family stops chanting. Almost as soon as this happens, I feel able to move. Adrenaline hits as Father Nomura kneels by my side to speak to me, his face close to mine. Finn, his voice gruff. I whip my elbow into his nose as hard as I can. He steps back, but not before I grab the knife. I quickly sit up, screaming in pain as the pressure pounds on my wound, and I thrust the knife towards whoever is closest to me. It cuts the back of the grandfather's knee, who screams and collapses backwards. I stand up, holding out the knife, threatening to cut whoever moves next. The family stare at me in silence. Even the grandfather chokes back his cries of pain. I leave the room and run upstairs, clutching my stomach to slow the bleeding. The candles are all lit up here. In my state of panic, I grab one and set alight the shrines that are placed throughout the rooms. I don't know if they're connected to all this, but if the family worships them, I definitely don't. In each shrine, there was a small canister of oil that I was not aware of. This helps the fire, and it quickly spreads onto the wooden floors. I run to the walkway door. Smoke fills the corridor behind me. Finn! I hear Ren scream from below. She needs young life. Please. I ignore her and barge through the door, which thankfully is no longer jammed shut. I cross the walkway, knife in hand. It is still night. I enter the main area. Sako and Hina are by the table and look up at me in surprise. Sako is bleeding and badly cut from where I had hit her. I can tell she has drunk from the chalice. Her lips are red. I say nothing, holding the knife up towards them. I notice Sako is holding my flesh in her hand. She holds it above a pot in flame. She's going to cook it. My eyes don't leave either of them, and I move toward the shrine in this room, the largest one in the house. I quickly set it alight. As I reach the front door, Hina notices the flames from across the walkway. She shouts something at her mother, and they both run to help their family. I burst through the front door and run into the trees. I dart into the woods as the house lights up behind me. I run for no more than a minute, then turn around to see how far I've gone. The dim glow of the fire illuminates through the foggy night, enhancing the shapes of the trees around me. I'm not far enough away yet. I turn to run and hear a screech from the house's direction. It's a long, high-pitched shriek full of anger. I know that doesn't belong to a human. It echoes through the woods, bouncing off the trees around me, ringing in my ears. I keep running. I see children. To my left, a young boy in a white kimono stands pointing at me from the fog. To my right, a young girl in the same attire points at me from behind a tree. There are soon children all around me. Every few steps I see one pointing at me from the darkness. They're showing her where I am. They all whisper. The sound of their chant is carried by the wind, quietly reminding me that this is not yet over. Amongst the sound, a baby's cries come from deep within the woods. This is too much for me. The whispers of the children, the crying of a baby. I am panicking, yet I continue to run, naked and bleeding, gripping the very blade that caused my wound. I leap over fallen branches, through sharp bushes, and away from the cries and eyes of the dead children. I see light in the distance. I don't know how. This place has a way of turning me around on myself. But it's the village. I see the town square. It looks as if the entire village has gathered there. Men and women surround a central figure. I realize I have seen no children in the village, and I now know why. In the square center, standing elevated by its statue, Father Nomura. His voice bellows from his half-burnt face as he speaks to the residents of the village. As spit flies from his lips, skin slowly drips down his face. He is angry, and the people appear to heed and agree with his every word. I am behind a tree. A row of houses stands between me and the square. This is my chance. With everyone occupied by Father Nomura, I can sneak into a house, steal clothes, and maybe get some money. I pace toward the closest house. Blood drips with every step. The wound has opened up further. Dirt and leaves stick to my body, and my blood acts as glue. I open the front door and enter the first house. I see 2 doors towards the back and assume they are bedrooms. I enter one, and sure enough, I am right. I find clothes. Ironically, a white kimono. I scrounge together any money or valuables that may help me escape. Blood drips on the house floor as I leave and move on to the next. In the next house, I do the same. I've acquired a decent amount of money, but I'll keep stealing more in case. I sneak out of the second house and I'm halfway to the third when I notice Father Nomura pointing toward the trees. A section of the villagers run in that direction, disappearing into the tree line. Father Nomura points in another direction. The same thing happens, and villagers move toward the trees. He then points in my direction, although he doesn't see me. I won't have time to make it to the next house or back to the one I came from. I'd be seen. I turn and run back to the trees. The villagers have been sent, I'm guessing to find me. They are faster than me. They haven't seen me yet, but they will soon. I reach the tree line and feel my only option is to hide. I'm bleeding too much to outrun them, coupled with my exhaustion and lack of proper clothing. I no longer see the dead children or hear the baby's cries. I trudge into the woods before seeing a climbable tree nearby. Jumping up to its now low-hanging branch, I hoist myself up. I hold back screams as my wound presses against the wood, my inside sandpapered. My white kimono soon takes the color red. I keep climbing, pull myself up one more branch, just as the villagers enter my sightline. I pray that I'm up high enough they don't notice me. The first few pass without trouble. They look scared and they look guilty, but I know they're not on my side. I hear a shout from the direction of the village. They've definitely found something. Either my trail of blood or they've realized I've looted their houses. Soon, the area around me swarms with villagers. Every few minutes, one emerges from the fog and passes my tree. Finn, Ren's voice echoes. Finn, we found your blood and know you are near. I freeze. She couldn't be more than 40 feet away. She's close to me somewhere in the fog. Finn, she yells. Let us explain. Finn, a voice booms. Father Nomura's. You must come out to us, Ren shouts. You must let us explain. Father Nomura bellows from beyond the fog, surprising me with English words. I feel my blood start to drip. It soaked through the kimono and now drips onto the ground below. I try to cover it with my hand and move my wound further above the branch so it leaks onto it, yet it continues to drop down the branch's side. Someone emerges from the fog as I struggle to stop my blood leaking from the branch's edge. Hina. She looks scared. Her arms are burnt, yet she shakes in the cold night air. She walks slowly, nervously looking around. I quietly try to contain the dripping, but it continues to steadily drip down. Hina moves under my tree, and a drop of my blood falls onto the shoulder of her white kimono. She doesn't realize. She stands under my tree. Another drop lands on her shoulder. As she turns to leave, a drop of my blood falls in front of her face and slightly clips her nose. She looks up slowly and sees me clinging to the branch above. She stares at me in disbelief. It feels like it's been minutes. We continue to stare at each other. She begins to quietly mutter something under her breath. I begin to beg. Hina, She turns her head and shouts loudly in the direction of the village. I have no choice. In one quick movement, I brandish the knife and push myself off the branch onto the one below before jumping onto Hina. She falls to the ground under my weight, groaning as we both hit the dirt. Feel a warm liquid around my hand oozing from the knife. I have stabbed her. The knife cut into the upper side of her stomach at an upward angle that looks like a slit under her ribs. As I let go of the knife, I feel it stuck in place. She is silent, looking at me in shock. I wonder if I got to her in time. I wonder if Father Nomura heard her yell. Villagers emerge from the trees, followed by Ren. I'm encircled by people, and I know the father will soon be one of them. My eyes briefly lock with his, before he looks down at his daughter that I just killed. He is frozen. His face slowly turns to one of despair. Tears well up in his eyes. He swallows loudly and clenches his jaw. He does not move. The first villager begins to quietly chant, dropping to his knees as he does so. The rest soon follow, including Ren. Soon, the villagers surround me, quietly chanting, bowing down. Father Nomura still stands, staring at his dead daughter. He is yet to move. From behind him, movement. Children emerge from the fog. The same children who had once been hunted by the grandmother and who had hunted me earlier tonight. I counted around 15 of them, all huddled together. 2 of them approach. Hina and the rest watch from the woods. I move away from her, scurrying in the dirt. The young boy and young girl are the first ones I had seen when running. Each grabs one of Hina's feet and drags her toward the other children. The father's eyes follow Hina as she is dragged past him, his head turning so that she doesn't leave his sight. I notice he now whispers the same chant as the rest of the village. His whispers are the quietest here. The tall, foreboding silhouette of the grandmother slowly emerges from the children. Hina's body rests in the dirt, her feet out of sight, immersed in the fog. As I make out the figure of the grandmother, Hina's body suddenly is jerked deep into the woods, a fast and violent motion that pulls her out of sight completely. The children and the grandmother fade into the night beyond them. I'm frozen. One by one, the villagers stop bowing, stop chanting, and leave. Soon Ren leaves, quietly saying something to her father as she passes. She doesn't look at me. Father Nomura and I are the last 2 there. He remains standing, still quietly chanting. His eyes haven't left the spot where Hina's body lay before it was pulled into the night. I stand and slowly back away from him. He whispers, change. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I spent the last night by the road. The bus just arrived. I'm almost surprised when I see it. I had been in and out of consciousness so often that I hadn't realized how many days it'd been. Upon seeing my bloodstained clothes, the driver asked me what happened, but I ignore him and give him the stolen money before taking my place at the back of the bus. Police soon stop the bus. I'm guessing the driver contacted them about me. Fair enough. I tell the police everything, about the village, the Nomura family, the fire, and the grandmother. Obviously, they don't believe me and take me away in their car. It's been a few days since I escaped the family. The police tell me they located the burnt remains of the Nomura household, but none of the family. They say the villagers tell them that the family was the richest in the village and that they had taken me in, but have no idea what happened to the house. They deny any acknowledgement of any Yamauba terrorizing the village. Although I hadn't actually mentioned the grandmother being a Yamauba. I just told the police that there was a creature who mimicked an old woman. I only just found out what a Yamauba is, and it fits the grandmother's description. I fear that even though the Nomuras are gone, the creature isn't. I fear the villagers are still under her control. I've tried to call Lexi hundreds of times. Her number isn't even in service anymore. I don't know if I'll ever have another update. Probably not, but as I lie in the hospital and go through the photos from her trip years ago, I recognize the Nomura family. I see photos of her smiling with them and laughing with them. As I reach the few final photos of her trip, I see a picture of her with a young boy. He is full of life, smiling as he hugs her in his white Camino.